this is a real treat because, you know, the last time I actually made eye contact with you, you know, we were on the same Zoom when you surprised Andra Day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, at that moment was, I mean, it blew up all over the world, I think, because we all have been thirsty for that kind of one-on-one attention, that kind of love, that moment, right, where you just get to hug somebody
Yes,
that
yes,
you care about, that you respect, that you see.
yes.
Please tell me that you were knocking on every door. Like, I'm gonna find this girl in here. I'm gonna find her.
Yeah, it kind of was that situation. You know, she'd won, and I was so happy for her. And you know, as you said, we're in the middle of what we're in, and I had the opportunity to talk to Andra the day before, I think, or a couple days before, and just kind of, you know, just seeing how this wild singular moment that was happening for her, you know, how she was feeling in it during a pandemic, you know,
Right,
like
right.
not having the opportunity to go through to all of the luncheons and things like that that celebrate all of your hard work and getting those hugs, and she's really been managing it really well. But we had all been through our COVID protocols,
Right.
and I was like in my room, like, oh my gosh, she won. And my publicist, Mike, was like, you know, she's staying here in the hotel. And I was like, shut up. I was like, you have got to find her. And so he found her. And I was like, you want to go? You want to go? And everyone in my room, we were, like I said, we were all tested. And so
Exactly.
we were like, yeah, let's just go as a crew. And we went, and then when we knocked on the door, she was in the middle of the interview. And I knew she was in the middle of the interview, but I was like, I just want to surprise her because
It was so worth it.
because I know she just, you know, isn't getting all of that love and hugs that she deserves, you know, for this amazing performance. Because, you know, here we are in a situation, all your family is not here, where normally your whole family would be
The
here.
crew.
Yeah, you know.
Yes.
I'm wanted to represent family, you know, and
Listen, you did in such a way. I mean, people were calling. I saw Black Girl Magic. I saw love personified. I saw respect. I saw sisterhood. Like, these were all the comments that I saw, and I feel like, in particular, there was this like Black woman seeing Black woman thing that we really needed to see. That we didn't even know that we needed it as much as we did. Everybody kept asking me, how long have they known each other? How long have they known each other? I was like, I'll be honest with you. When we see each other, we don't have to have known you but for 22 seconds to have that kind of reaction. They may not have ever really met.
right, right, yeah. Well, the thing about it is, it's like you just said, you don't have to know each other to know each other.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And her, if you've ever seen an interview with Andra, if you watch that performance,
That performance, though.
she's, you know, she's vibrating on a frequency that is infectious and you just want to be a part of, you know.
Yeah.
And I definitely was a fan prior to the film. And then I, I was, this is your first time acting? Girl. It's just, she's
Tried to lose the role, Regina. Tried to lose, prayed that something would happen and they would take the role away.
oh, and that just lets you know when something was designed for you, there is nothing that you can do to not walk, you know, in that space, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It's you know, we were talking about Black Girl Magic, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like your partnership, what you're doing with Vaseline, is helping to ensure that Black Girl Magic can stay preserved. You know what I'm saying? in a matter of ways. Tell me about this partnership, why you wanted to be a part of it, and what is happening.
Well, I think it's interesting, we talk about black don't crack and, all of those things. And it is true. That is one of the beautiful things that that has to do with having DNA that comes from the motherland, that we tend to preserve better than a lot of others. And but you can't not take care of this temple, and a lot of the reality that we really got put back in our face was how the systems have been put in place that has made it harder for Black and brown people when it comes to everything and anything, medical care, when it comes to just finding jobs, when it comes to education. We just don't have access to it, or the same access to those things. And it was put in our face, a blatant reminder during the pandemic. The coronavirus reminded, because I don't want to say revealed, because it was already
something we knew.
Yeah, we knew, but it reminded of just how severe the differences are to access, especially when it comes to healthcare. So Vaseline and I had partnered on things years ago, and that relationship had continued, and just what they were doing when it came to providing more resources when they were working with direct relief, and they still are working with direct relief. Mm-hmm. And then taking it a step further and really doing the research to expose the numbers as far as the skincare, and how many dermatologists are just not
prepared,
feel like they can adequately address issues that are specific to us.
And it's funny, it's interesting, right? Because you think of a dermatologist, you would assume that all dermatologists are trained and prepared and comfortable with anybody that walks in with some skin. Yeah. And so what you find is that that just simply is not, unfortunately, is not the case. And so I'm glad that this is another instance, it's another effort that's trying to help strike a balance in the things that are available to all of us.
Yeah.
And what you should not be worried about that going into the dermatologist.
No, exactly. Honestly, you shouldn't be worried about that going to see any doctor. And I know with a lot of the research that Vaseline has done, we found that a huge amount of Black and brown people don't feel like their concerns are actually being addressed when they're going to the doctor. They're feeling like, rub some dirt on it. Go, like
yeah, right. Yeah, like, yeah, and it's like, what's your professional opinion? Right. Yeah, or made to feel like your concerns are unimportant.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love, and I have said this to you to your face, in front of people, and privately, what I appreciate about you is you bring our experience to the forefront. You bring our experience, the things that we're thinking about, the things that we're afraid of, the things that we know to be true, the things that we have been lied on about, and you bring all of that experience to the forefront, either in the shows that you work on, the movies that you direct, the roles that you bring to the screen. And that's one of the through lines, you know what I mean, I have always seen as a truth in our experience that I so appreciate. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, I know. Yep. She back at it again. Now tell me this, you and I have talked about the time around having your son, around after having your son, you made a decision really to not take jobs if they were going to be far out of Los Angeles. You have been on television, you have been in this business since before 227, but 227 was like one of the first like big splashes, right? Was there a role that after you, maybe years later, whatever, you saw it and you were like, dang, that was a good one? That was a good one. Not necessarily that you should have played it over the person that did, but like, damn, that was a good one.
You mean like something that I auditioned for, maybe that I
Yeah.
did, and then saw it and was like, "Ooh, yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah." Low down, dirty shame. Yeah, Peaches, Jada Pinkett.
And the Pinkett!
Yeah. So it's funny. Funny story is Jennifer Lopez and I auditioned together for her for the Sally Richardson role and me for the Peaches role. Clearly, neither one of us got it. Clearly, it worked out for both of us. But I remember when I saw the film, I was like, "Oh yeah, that was Jada's role. That did that."
Really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Now tell me, because y'all are, I know that y'all are also very friendly. Have y'all had conversations about role? Because I would imagine she also auditioned for roles that you went out for, right? Like, have y'all had those kind of moments?
I don't think we've had that. We like Tashina Arnold and
Yep.
Tisha Campbell and I have those conversations because we have known each other since we were like 13, 14 years old, and we've been auditioning. So we always joke around and have those conversations throughout the years, many, many, many times. But I don't think Jada and I have. Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear those stories. You know what I mean? Like Lawrence Fishburne told me that he was offered the role. The role was actually written with him in mind. Pulp Fiction, the Sam Jackson role,
Wow.
right?
I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? And so I love hearing those stories about what, like how the industry moves and how everybody wins anyway.
Yes.
You know
And
what
I
I
really
mean?
believe that a role chooses a person. I don't think the person chooses a role because if we go back and think about Peaches and Low Down Dirty Shame, or I can't remember what Sam's role was in Pulp Fiction, we can't see anyone else in the role,
Yeah,
you know.
Julius. Yeah, no, nobody, nobody.
Yeah, nobody else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, can't nobody. No, not the way he did it. You know what I mean? Which is why when you won for Watchmen, we were all like, man, you couldn't. She was tough, boy. She was tough, boy. So you just said how you've been acting for how long? I mean, you said 13. Is that really where it kind of all?
13, I think, was when we shot the pilot for 227. And then it went to series when I was 14. But so I'll say 13 is when like the major roles starting. But prior to that, I was doing plays and
Right.
little extra work on or background actor
Yeah,
work
yeah.
on shows since I was probably 9 or 10 years old.
The
Yeah.
reason I ask is because we in this search for nostalgia, right? But also this search to expand our awareness and do better and be better people in and out of the industry, right? We're seeing all these stories, we're hearing all these stories. Kid 90 it was a documentary, a docu-series on, I believe, HBO about the industry and about young people in the industry and the things that they were up against, the stories that they had about their experiences, some very great, some not so great. But I wonder for you, do you have memories of being really young on set and being like, whoa, this is a lot happening around us?
Um, I guess perhaps maybe around the first season
Yeah,
of 227, there probably were moments like that. But I kind of feel like by that time I had done so many stage plays,
mhm.
and there's an energy with stage that, not saying that with television it's not exciting, but it's much slower, and it's not and it's just the process is different. It's not an immediate like kind of call and response thing that you get when you're on stage, because you know, you got to having a good night on stage, you could, the audience is letting you know. You
Right.
have a not so good night, the
They're
audience
also making
know. After having, I think, that experience, I don't think that being on set what was like, wow, this is a lot going on. It was more adapting to my mother kept me in public school, and the correspondence between being on set school, in set school, and uh in real school, and the going back and forth between the two, that was kind of like a whoa, this is a trip.
yeah.
And I think that was the biggest.
The reason I ask is because I feel like you are one of very few individuals in this industry who started as young as you did and have continued to do incredible work in this business, and then also creating opportunities for other people in this business. And I was curious about what maybe things were in your life. Maybe it was a parent, maybe it was being in school, in a public school. What things were at work in your life that really equipped you? Maybe it was the stage that
Yeah,
equipped you for like this success.
I think all of that, all of those things that you name. The thing that I go to often, you know, when I'm asked that question is just my mother keeping just as much of a regular life as possible. I mean, I am so grateful that I went to public school. I'm a
Yeah.
product of LA Unified. You know, I ran track in high school. You know, and I did things that other kids were doing. I was doing things that kids that were working as far as on television and stuff weren't usually doing. So usually, like when I would go to those NBC affiliate parties and you see all the other kids that are on the shows, they just were quite different, you
Right.
know.
You got to be a kid.
Yeah, like things that they were talking about were not things that I was even familiar with, and things that I wanted to talk about, they were not familiar with, you
Wow.
know. And yeah, so I found that I definitely there was that life, but I was a regular kid. I was going to high school football games, you know, we was sneaking beer in, doing all the things that actually those kids were the acting kids were doing that as well, but they were sneaking beer probably into other things.
And the other things, right?
I was doing it with the other LA Unified kids. You know?
Right.
I feel like that made a difference. You know, I got whoopings, you know, so I think,
Yeah. Keep you in line.
yeah, you can't do. I think that's, you hear about a parent giving a child a whooping now. It's like, you know, social services are coming down. You know,
Yeah.
whereas
Yeah.
um, when I was growing up, you know, and it wasn't like I was getting beat.
No, I got you. Listen.
Yeah, it's just.
My mom the other day was talking about a situation in third grade. I was like, "Do you remember?" She was like, "Yeah, I remember. I remember the day like it. Yes, I remember like it was yesterday. You were out of line."
Out of line.
He said, "And you never got out of line quite like that ever again."
Yes. Yes. And my mother was very much aware that my sister and I were two totally different personalities.
Yeah.
And the way and styles in which she would discipline me were different than how she did with my sister. And I do believe that me having an understanding of that is definitely something that I've applied in my life, even as a director. You know, the way I communicate with one actor is very different than the way I communicate with another actor. I don't treat it as if just because they're both actors, you know, they are like a cookie cutter, like
Right.
everything is the same, you know.
Yeah. Aldous Hodge told me that there was a scene where you literally just walked over and whispered a word. And it changed the whole, like they did this, they just redid the scene. It changed the whole dynamic of what they were doing. And I was like, that's because she knows what she would have needed, like as an actress, as a performer. And it don't take a whole lot when you come to work prepared. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I have not mentioned it because, and I know we're short on time. We've got about 3 minutes left in this Zoom, but and the only reason I'm mentioning it is because it was, to me, it felt like a glaring omission. Your name not included in that director category for the Academy. But I wonder for you if that honestly even matters, because the work has resonated so deeply and so far reaching.
Right. I think, I was really disappointed about the not receiving a Best Picture recognition. I think that was um oh yeah, I was very disappointed in that. Yeah, I was disappointed as far as director, but more about Best Picture. Um, Not the type of disappointed that you probably the athlete may feel when they didn't win the championship, and it's emotional like that. Not like that disappointment, but disappointment because I I know how the audience really reacted to One Night in Miami, and how many people have felt, have said and expressed how moved they are, and how moved they continue to be, and how they've gone back to watch the film again. And I feel like there are those moments that don't happen that often when it comes to the Academy, where a film that's loved by the people and
Right.
that's loved by the critics is celebrated. And this was one of those films that, we were reviewed so well, and but we were received by the people so well. So that, at the end of the day, is what you really want.
Listen,
That is
and
real.
you won, and you won. I get it, and I agree 100% with you. But when the credits rolled, I looked around the room of the people of various heritages I was watching the film with, and it was unreal,
Yeah,
unreal.